Jim Carrey, Hollyweird, and Deliverance. So, guys, you're gonna have to hear me out with this. This is gonna be like a full-blown winning team style video where I just bring together lots of different things that you may not have thought about in the same sentence. And it all started because I was kind of doing a bit of research into like Jim Carrey's history. And I want to say this because this is very important for what I'm going to say next. I purposely kind of have avoided really thinking too much into his career because I honestly feel like it's a tragedy that we see in the entertainment industry in general. You know what I mean? He's extremely talented, obviously. And I grew, like, obviously I'm only 27 years of age. So in the earlier stages of his career, I wasn't aware of who he was, but I always remember hearing his name. And throughout the years, I've always been absolutely impressed with his talent. And you guys know that I talk all the time about like how there's some people in the entertainment industry that are just there to be famous. They're just great puppets that just take people's advice. And then we find the true artists, right? The likes of the Jim Carreys, the Justin Biebers, the Michael Jacksons, the Whitney Houstons, the Britney Spearses, the people that like have pure talent and that the industry just completely destroys. And that's why I just didn't want to think about Jim Carrey, because it just kind of broke my heart from the beginning to always just think like, wow, from what I have seen of him in later years, obviously I would commend him for actually, I think he's kept his mind together a lot more than a lot of others have managed to. You guys know I always say that the strategies of the kingdom of darkness when they're trying to silence you is cancel crazy coffin, right? You get cancelled first, then you get made to sound like you're crazy if you don't take the second warning, right? It's like the 3 warnings of the devil, like to get back in line and do your job and be a puppet in Hollyweird. Crazy, which is like he makes you look crazy to the world. He makes you look crazy. You end up in a psychiatric whatever. You end up being given all of these titles. Similar situation we have with Kanye, which I'm going to come to this Kanye and this whole stuff as well. It's another subject. All of these are sore subjects for me, because I see that people that came to the industry, and this is where I feel like we're at a really interesting time to be alive. I feel like I've said this to you guys before that it was about the 1970s that a lot of the stuff we're seeing like in the entertainment industry now, and we're seeing the results of that, the roots were around that time. So there was a lot of like, that's when they started, kind of recognizing, oh, this is a business. We can monetize kind of like getting the attention of people. And like growing up, I always used to think it was kind of cringe. And I want to be just so honest how adults would be like, oh my gosh, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Denzel Washington, so-and-so and so-and-so, Arnold Schwartz. And I'm just like, nothing wrong with their talent again, but like this whole like kind of idolization of like these A-lister celebrities. And we even see it now, like, what does J-Lo do to like bounce back after this? And Gwyneth Paltrow have to do that. And Beyonce didn't eat fried chicken before Coachella. And like, all these things. It's just like, it's just too much. The Hailey Bieber, Shake It, Air One, like this obsession with celebrity is something that I believe has been long there. So that's why, even though I didn't grow up seeing somebody like Jim Carrey, like myself, like in the earlier stages, looking back now, it was traumatizing for me. Like, not traumatizing because I didn't go through it, so I don't want to take away from his trauma because it's his trauma. I would say it was heartbreaking because it's something that I feel like I've seen so many times, and we see so many times in the industry. A well-meaning, very much talented like person who has found like the gift that God has given them. I believe God gives us all gifts. I don't believe people in the entertainment industry get lucky. I don't believe in luck. You guys know that. I won't even talk about this in this. I believe that God gives us all different gifts and they all contribute to society. To me, Jim Carrey making me laugh in a movie is equivalent to my appreciation for the pilot that flies my plane, is equivalent to my appreciation for the guys who were like fixing the roof over the house I live in, is equivalent to my appreciation for the people that work in the supermarkets to make sure that I have food to eat, which is the equivalent to my appreciation for the guys who work and do who take the trash out, like, from the front of my house, which is equivalent to my appreciation for the teachers that taught me along the way, which is equivalent to my appreciation for the churches that I've been a part of and the environments that have allowed me to find the Lord, which is my equivalent. You guys get what I'm saying? All of these things are a part of society. So I don't look at it as like this person's extra this. That's why the whole celebrity aspect for me is one of those things I'm a bit like, I don't know, right? But what does upset me is when you have these well-meaning people, and you guys know that I'll be honest, when thinking about it, I don't consider myself to be a pure-hearted person. And I think maybe that's because as a kid, before I even knew it, I was already dedicated to the kingdom of darkness, right? I've talked about my whole child sacrifice thing on here. You guys can check out my older videos if you want to know about that. So I don't see myself as having a pure heart, because I feel like there was a lot of darkness in the early stages, and God has saved me from a lot. So I have really, because I gave my life to Christ when I was 7, and it's been a journey, I really take it to heart when I see people that I feel like are so genuine and pure of heart and just want to do well and just have hope in the world, because that's something I don't have, and become absolutely destroyed, and that's something that I kind of feel about Jim Carrey in particular, and why I wanted to kind of address this, because you see somebody he's just like a tale, another tragedy that is not just the entertainment industry, but the world we live in, like going into things, having talent, being a pure of heart, trying to do the right thing. It doesn't work out for you in the long haul. And so watching all the things that he went through, and there were certain things that that really rubbed me the wrong way. So like, for example, there was something like in one of his movies, he was like the first to make 20 million of all the entertainment industry, and like people were so upset that they basically, it looked to me like people were just being haters, and then said that the film that he made after that wasn't even that good, because I think people were just jealous. But then also I think these were the types of people similar to the Britney Spearses, similar to the Michael Jacksons, similar to the Whitney Houstons, similar to all these different people, the Amy Winehouses, where like the entertainment industry looks at them, at these talented people, the Justin Biebers, right? Did I say Britney? I'm sure I've said Britney, right? These people that are like so talented naturally and are well-meaning, because I really believe most of these people, even Kanye, wherever he is now, start out well-meaning, and it's just like, and this is what brings me to the concept of deliverance, which we're going to come into in a second. So yeah, it just kind of makes me sad. It makes me really sad to see, like, especially like where Jim Carrey's at now, like I said. And this is the truth of the world. Like, this is why I'm saying this to you guys. Like, I'm saying this because I'm sharing like my feelings about it, but also I'm trying to like highlight that some of us, the reason why we're pessimistic is not just because we just like to be annoyed at everybody or everything, because I'm not really annoyed at everybody or everything. I just honestly feel like I'm just a lot more of a realist than most people. And it's funny, there was this guy I was talking to, right, saying to me, he was like, realists always side with the side of pessimism. He's a very well educated man. He works in the UK government, yada yada yada. The usual, the pastorals also. You guys know how the story goes with me and my experiences with the male community. So he was talking about me specifically. He was like, yeah, people who are realistic usually err on the side of pessimism, and I did find him overly optimistic. I do in general find men overly optimistic, and I kind of, that goes back to why stories like Jim Carrey, Kanye West, even Johnny Depp is another one. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else I can think of. Justin Bieber. It upsets me, because obviously as a woman I have more discernment. I'm also aware of my nature, so that's part of what makes me pessimistic, but that's not the point of this conversation. It's just really sad. And like, this is where I feel like we're at a time now, like in the industry, like as a, not even in the industry, as a society, where we have to now take stock. There was a period of time in the beginning, some people knew what they were doing. Like, I truly believe, like, if we go back, this is what I think has happened. Here's my hypothesis, if you will. In about the 1970s, that kind of era, right? So that was when my parents were born. My father was born in 1970. My mom was born in 1969, right? And around that time, that's when a lot of people in the entertainment industry were setting the foundations for where we're at now. So a lot of us who are alive now, right? Again, going from my generation all the way up to my parents and even older, were unaware of things, right? So you'd have all this new talent and all these new people coming up out of the woodwork in this entertainment industry thing. And even the entertainment industry and the history of entertainment, like even like, the masks, like the tragedy comedy mask, like the two like combos that you have, like for that kind of represents like drama or like all of that. Those also have their own demonic connotations, which is why we're coming to Deliverance in a minute, right? So like historically speaking, a lot of these theaters, you'll find that people in theaters, they have this time. So like a lot of influencers at the moment are like touring, and you'll hear them say, and this is I found so interesting, because they don't know this. I know this because of my own studies, but then it's the same thing. that there's these hours you're not allowed to go on stage, and people don't know why that happens in theaters, but that's because historically, going back into like the Greek, especially Greek Roman cultures, they would leave the theaters because it was for the demonic entities to do whatever they needed to do, because it was all the demonic thing. Even the masks, your mask you would put on, you would like kind of take on the demon that represents that mask, right? So that's where the masks come from. That also goes into East Asian culture. That also goes into African culture. That goes into cultures of the whole world, even native cultures. A lot of these imageries that they use, the masks, the costumes, they were all in worship of these demonic gods, right? And like kind of engaging these spirits. So there was even that guy who's one of the actors in, he plays the father in, what's that movie? Not movie, a series, Empire. He talked about how he goes, and they do this. So when I see actors like Jim Carrey, Johnny Depp, and all of these, I do think they're people who probably were kind of somewhat led astray, found out what was going on, maybe even a Dave Chappelle kind of moment, all this. And again, I find it fascinating that a lot of it is the comedians, because I do think being a comic is one of the like strongest talents you can have in the entertainment industry, even though people don't necessarily see that as a talent. Like, oh, this person's just funny. I am quite funny. I like to think. I don't think I could pull off a comedy set. You know what I mean? And I do love to watch comedy. It's something I got into in the last like few years, just randomly, literally out of nowhere. Actually, if I say how I got into comedy, you guys are going to think it's ridiculous, the comedian that first got me into comedy. So I'm not going to say, but they are a well-known comic. Anyways, so I got into comedy, and I also started watching back what was happening, and it's all putting everything into perspective, right? So you have these talented people, even Jim Carrey, who started out doing a lot of like impressions. Like, people didn't get what he was doing. He was just well-meaning, and then you get into the industry, and then once you're in the industry, we all know that the industry is somewhere where you just obey the rules. You don't come in and just like have a talent, right? Like similar with Justin Bieber. He started out singing on YouTube, right? All these people, they start out, Britney Spears, she started out singing because, whatever. They get put into these places, and then the industry that was already being built before even probably my parents were even aware of their existence, right, were being put into place. And then we now fast forward, and now we're in a situation where I personally truly believe that so many people in the entertainment industry, and also those of us, just don't understand the degree of which of slavery in the system of the entertainment industry these celebrities actually are. I truly believe, like, by the time you become like a Beyonce, a Taylor Swift, or whatever of today, there's reasons why people like Adele don't do she said she's gonna go away for 10 years. There's reasons why, what was the other one who's now Cameron Diaz all of a sudden just popped up out of nowhere, right? But then in the meantime, you have other people who are comfortably having careers, like the likes of the Beyoncés, like the likes of the Taylor Swifts. Some of them, they are comfortable with being a part of the system, and those tend to be the ones who they've given into the kingdom of darkness, they've given into becoming the tools of Satan. And others, maybe they fell back, maybe we don't talk about them anymore, we forgot that they existed. Oh, that person who had a hit 10 years ago, all of that. I truly believe that the state of the education, entertainment system, supposed to start with E. My brain is just short circuiting, but this, I don't know, is that even the right terminology here? I could just be chatting nonsense. I could be waffling. The state of the entertainment industry is such that a lot of what we're seeing now is you either have the people who went along with it, and those are all the ones who are thriving, the Ariana Grandes, you know what I mean, your even Rihanna's, all them peeps, right? And then you have the people who didn't go along with it, but then they fell away along the way. So those are the people we don't even remember. I can't even think of anybody off the top of my head. I'm like, oh, remember that person, right? And then we have the people who are becoming victimized because they're so talented, but they also don't want to be involved, and they're in like a battle. So that's where we have like the Britney Spearses of it all. That's where we have even the Chris Browns of it all. That's where we have even who I mentioned, the Jim Carreys, the Johnny Depps, right? Why do we see these situations happening? The Blake Lively's and Ryan Reynolds, they're another combination I think are like have given in. So when they come up against the Justin Baldoni character, who again is people like, he's not even super well known. I've actually seen more of Justin Baldoni in my life than I have of Ryan. Is it Ryan Reynolds? Let me not get them wrong, because one of the Ryans I like and one of them I don't like. Goodness, wait, hold on a minute. Ryan Reynolds, and who's the other? Hold on. Ryan Gosling. I always thought Ryan Gosling was a great actor. I never thought Ryan Reynolds was that special, to be honest with you. But the point being, it's not about my opinion, because everybody has their own cup of tea, right? But some people like two sugar, some people like one sugar, some people like it strong, some people like it not. Like, we all have our own preferences in this life. And I always thought Ryan Gosling was a great actor. I didn't necessarily think Ryan Reynolds was that special. Nevertheless, he's one of the great, people that's good, little puppet of the entertainment industry. Which brings me to Deliverance, because I think that a lot of people got into the system of the I'm saying the education again, entertainment industry, thinking, not knowing what they're getting themselves into, as we all do as humans. We all just go about life, we engage with things, and we don't really know what's going to happen. Hence why we need God, because he's the only person who knows the future. He's the only person with the wisdom to know better on our behalf, right? Like how a parent knows better than you do about what's coming in this world, so does God know that better than us. I feel like a lot of people in the entertainment industry, and a lot of us on both sides, need deliverance. I think we're at a point where like people are waking up, whether you realize that that's what it is or not. The kingdom of darkness has wreaked havoc. People have done things they didn't understand. They've been put on drugs and this, that, and the other. It's funny how the well-meaning people are always, and this is what broke my heart about the whole Jim Carrey thing. And I knew it was going to upset me, but I knew eventually I was going to have to address the situation. Like, of course he would go through what he did, and like to see the difference between when he was like trying his best at the beginning of his career and he had light in his eyes and whatever, to like where he's at now, where he's he was saying a lot of open things. And like there was one interview that I saw of his, right, as I was doing all this whole deep dive, and he was like, and the lady, it was like, I don't know, it was one of these like red carpet interviews, right? And he was like, the lady goes, oh, and he's trying to say what he really has to say, right? Because he doesn't care. And also because he's a comedian. Like, this is why I think comedians are on like playing 4D chess. Because they can kind of say whatever they want to say. Like, this is why I realized the difference between them and me. Like, they can kind of say whatever they want to say, but because they're saying it, people are laughing. And also because people are just like, oh, this is just comedy, they're just making a joke. Like, it's like the little thing that people do. Like humans love to have a reason to pretend, like to like ignore the truth in the room. Like comedians provide that environment, that like safe space, so they can say something so honest and we can all just laugh. This is actually why I love comedy, because I love listening to dark comedy. Like, the darker the better for me, because that's actually honestly the best form of therapy in my opinion. I don't need to sit there and be like, when I was a kid and then no, it's not my cup of tea. I'd rather just joke about it, because it's actually kind of funny, especially if you can make a good joke about things I've been through. Then yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Anyways, you get the point. To see like where he started off and like how he was, and like he was in this interview saying to this woman, saying whatever he was saying, and she was just kind of like, and he was like, we're all not real, and I'm not real, none of us are real, we're all just tetrahedrons walking around. And she was like, so tell me anyways, Jim, what are you wearing today? He's like, I'm not even here, you're not even here. She's like, oh, so and she was so uncomfortable, made me laugh so much, because like this is how we are as well as people. Is like we've got to a point where anytime anybody says something uncomfortable, unless it's in the guise of, say, like a comedy or an entertainment, which is the entertainment industry is so powerful, we don't want to have to address it, right? Because if it's on TV, it's make-believe. If it's a comedian, it's a joke, right? But the realities are the facts, because why is it that all the pure-hearted people are out here dying, being called crazy, doing drugs? And then the people who are not doing that, who look fine, are the ones out here casting spells. Like I'm hearing, because I watch a lot of like different types of content, you guys, because I really love to see what's happening in the world in general. I think it's so cool that that's where we're at. And I'll hear the number of times I've heard people say, and then I went to Taylor Swift's concert, and then I went to Beyonce's concert, and I felt like it was a demonic ritual. These people are not like me. They're not like into the Bible and like believing in demons, but they just, for some reason, even if they don't even understand what they're saying, they're like, oh, it was like a demonic ritual. It was like, oh, I felt like I was seeing spirits. I felt like I was being sacrificed. I felt like she was casting spells. I'm like, that's interesting, isn't it? Isn't that so interesting that people are having that experience? And this is what I'm saying about the deliverance. And I feel like the only solution to where we're at now in the entertainment industry and beyond is deliverance. It is for the Lord. And we're going to get into deliverance, you guys, because I'm getting sick and tired of hearing these pastors charging 100,000, whatever the heck they're charging, when deliverance is free with the name of Christ, right? But what I wanted to highlight and just kind of like set the tone with in this video is that like we are living in that kind of time where like people and all of us and like all of society and the entertainment industry and all of these different things are pushing us in that direction where like we are like kind of getting at the point where we're finally woken up to like, this is what's actually happening. Like if you're actually paying attention, why do the good, well-meaning, pure-hearted individuals end up on the one side And then others who seem to be so comfortable in the industry. That's my other thing is like, how do you get comfortable with the industry? Like I've said this to you guys before. I'm so grateful to the Lord because when I was like, so like, oh my gosh, I was the same idiot, to be fair. Well, I don't want to say idiot because idiot's the wrong word. I was the same person. I was like, when I remember being 16, I'm watching all these dance videos and watching all these things. I'm thinking, I'm going to move to the city. I'm going to move to the city and I'm going to go and take all the professional dance classes. I'm going to become a dancer. I'm going to do this. And so then I moved to the city and started going to all these professional dance classes. And you guys know the story for those of you who've been here. And my career, I just had like a taste. Like I didn't even get into like any highest level. You guys know that when I was about to really have my like go off moment, I had to abruptly, this is how we got here, right? I decided, oh, you know what? I'm leaving the sea and I'm going to go and spend time with the Lord instead, which was, again, people who knew, who were giving me these opportunities thought she must have something wrong with me or with us, because why would anybody turn this opportunity down? And I was like, I just felt deep down like I was selling my soul a little bit, or even a lot of it from what I was facing. So it's like, you kind of know, like when you're there, like in the industry, that to be successful, you do have to sell your soul. Like to be successful in the entertainment industry, you do have to, as it is right now, you do either have to sell your soul or you have to have a strong enough maybe village around you, support system, or willpower within yourself that there's only a certain line that you're going to go to, and past that line, you're not going any further. And that is a lot rarer than we realize. And that's why I feel like we need the deliverance. Because like, even when I was like, I remember some of the friends that I like made and stuff and all of this telling me about, like, you got videographers talking about, I was on set with this music video, and in this music video, like they were doing this demonic ritual, and when we did this, or even things I've been asked to do, like it's always the degenerates, it's always the like things that are setting people away, like it's always like, especially as a Black woman, like they're not going to put on the entertainment industry is never going to put out like, oh my gosh, this lovely Black woman who is just leading the people into wholeness and whatever. It's not going to happen. It's going to be the most degenerate of all degenerates. That's why you had Sexy Red all putting out her flipping line of all this degenerate titled stuff that she was doing, right? People telling all these different, you know what I'm saying? Like it all comes down to degeneracy, and because that's the kingdom of darkness. So that's why I'm just saying that we need deliverance. And I just want to throw that out at you guys in the winning team, that like, I think we need to really start talking about deliverance. We're going to anyway. I have a book that I want us to do, which is actually one of the longest books I've had, if not the longest after the Bible of all the books I currently have. Because this is what's needed. I feel like we're just at a point where a lot of people, whether it be the celebrities, whether it be the public, the audience, the fans, whoever, have just been so excited about what we see that we're not aware of what's going on behind the scenes. And now we're seeing everything come crashing down. And the only people that are looking fine are the people who have given into the degeneracy, right? And they are looking comfortable, and they're also being exposed because they gave in. The others are just falling by the wayside. It's like even the Liam Payne situation, which again is another tragedy. Like, how sad is that we lost? I remember watching X Factor in the UK when I was a kid and seeing One Direction, like before they were One Direction, and all of them individually. I was actually irritated that they put them together because I felt like they should be alone, each of them. But you guys know, we know why they put these groups together. We're very familiar with that concept over here. And it just made me sad. Like, so like now Liam Payne is like died. I'm thinking, that's so sad, like from overdose. And people are like, oh, this is why you shouldn't do drugs. I'm like, you guys need to stop talking about why people shouldn't do drugs and shouldn't do this. This is what happens when you're tormented in the kingdom of darkness. But literally the people doing the thing, they are drugging people on purpose. They are taking advantage on purpose. So it's either people are getting forced to do these things so they can be taken advantage of, or they're taking these things because they're suffering and they're actually trying to do whatever they can to hold on to the last little drop of a will to live that they possibly have. That's why, look, I have Christ, so I don't go to that place myself, but I get how they would feel, because I would feel the same. The whole world just looks at you as this like idol. The whole world is just looking up to you for like whatever gifts and talents and things that they think you have that's better than what they have themselves. That's all they can see. The industry is taking advantage of you. The industry is taking its toll on you. The only reason it would take less of a toll is if you gave into degeneracy. And now you're in a situation where you don't know what to do because you just got to give into the industry, right? And become degenerate, which is going to make you die inside, right? Even if you might look better to the people. Or you try to go against it and you got to deal with the devil's his 3 warnings, cancelled, crazy, coffin, right? End up potentially dead. So then these people are just sitting in this little middle point where they're like, you know what, if I can at least make it to tomorrow, you know what I mean? I get it. Like, this is why I don't judge nobody for nothing. I think that the fact that the world has such a way of judging, oh, why would you be in the entertainment industry and then get caught up in drugs? Maybe it's either being forced to take them or because it's such a horrific thing. Like, how many times do the people in the rich and powerful and famous people have to tell you that money doesn't buy happiness? But because for you, you're so stuck, again, it's all the devil's a expert at getting us confused, getting us fixated and distracted with the external. Like I always say, the losing team, the kingdom of darkness is focused on the external. The winning team, the kingdom of heaven, is focused on the internal and the eternal. The devil's considered the external because if he can get you all caught up in what you can see, just like Eve, oh, the tree, it looks good for food, it looks good to the eyes, it looks delicious, it looks good to make one wise. Oh, you'll get caught up in that and you won't think. Because it's true. If you're asking the question, why would, say, someone like Diddy do whatever he did if he had all that money? Maybe it's because to have all that money, Diddy had to be who he is to get it. If you're asking, why is it that celebrities always end up taking drugs and doing this and that? Maybe it's because to survive as a celebrity, this is what they do to survive. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like we need deliverance. Like, we need deliverance, like, in general, because we've all, like, I do believe for the most part, like, I've always been hard and fast pessimist. You guys know that, right? I've said that before. But, like, I do believe there's so many people who are genuinely doing their best, like, both, like, the audience, the fans, the whoever. This is all a result of the Holy Spirit's conversation, because the Lord really had a whole chat with me this morning, and this has really changed the way I've delivered this video, which, praise Jesus. But anyway, I believe there's so many people that, like, really are well-meaning, and, like, both outside the industry and inside, but there's no answers, because, like, with the devil, it's cancelled crazy coffin. And that's why I say we need deliverance. Because why? Because Jesus defeated death. So the one thing that the devil wants to scare us off with, which is dying, and also the people in the industry wonder why they continue, wonder why they keep going, because they're scared to die, because they know where they're going, because they know what they're involved in. Jesus is like, choose me and you can have life. And not just that, you can have freedom from whatever you've involved yourself with. It doesn't matter how many times, like, if you think you've sold your soul to the devil, selling your soul to the devil isn't a be all end all. The devil can't afford your soul. Only Jesus could afford to pay for it, because only Jesus did everything perfectly. Even the devil messed up. He doesn't have the money. The devil's just a big deceiver. Like, so that's why I'm such a big advocate for deliverance. Like, I want to see deliverance for everybody. I'm sad to see so many people, like, go down the drain, like, and just be in these situations. The world just judges those who are going through it, because they think that, oh, if you're going through it, whatever. But I'm like, you guys, like, even Demi Lovato is another one that upsets me, because, like, she's so talented, and she has been from the beginning, you know. And, like, when she was going through what she went through, like, when she was doing, like, Camp Rock and all of that, she's one of those people who's got such natural talent. And, like, people were like, she was going through all this abuse and whatever, nobody cared. People were even just saying, what could you possibly be going through at your age, you know? Like, unfortunately, this is where we're at in the society. Like, I say to you guys, I said before in the beginning of this video, earlier in this video, or was it the last video, that I feel like it was the last video. I feel like we've all really been through the similar things. I feel like the same things that I talk about on here, I don't think I'm, like, some special whatever. I feel like we've all been through it. Or a lot of us have been through it for the most part. I think more of us have than who haven't. I just feel like I'm just the one who's talking about it, and I do it on purpose so that we can be set free. I'm talking about it because I've been set free, you know what I'm saying? But, like, she was talking about it, and people are like, oh, what could you have possibly gone through when you were 16? But it's like probably the same thing. The same person that was saying that probably went through the same thing. And now look at her now. She's ebbing and flowing, she's drugging, she's this, she's that. It's sad. Like, it's not a judgment. Listen, guys, I am the least judgmental person probably ever, because I could not judge anyone when I've lived the life I've lived and I've been the person I've been. I am in no place to sit here thinking I'm better than nobody, because I really am not. In fact, I would see myself as the worst of the worst, realistically speaking. You know what I mean? But it just saddens me that people are living these lives where they feel like this is all that they can have. And, like, it does make me sad. And, like, the Jim Carrey thing, I knew it was going to upset me. And it did. And all of these stories with all these people, you guys know, Britney Spears has literally been the longest running series we've done here. We need deliverance. So, I don't know. If anybody makes it to the end of this video, please tell me if you guys think you're ready for us to really delve into this. Because listen, the Bible says who the Son sets free is free indeed. Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. What was that, the verse I was going for? You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free, right? And the truth is that the devil can't dangle anything, but you have to go to God. And this is why I say to you guys all the time about the selling your soul to the devil thing. You can't just walk away from the devil. You see this with all the celebrities. They try to just walk away. If you don't walk into the arms of God, you're going to be screwed, because it's only God through Christ who defeated death in the first place. Anyways, you guys, if life's a game, it's pay to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, because if life's a game, it's pay to win. And goodbye.